I'm ready.
You know what? Let me actually see here.
Well, I pushed live, so
Oh God, where'd he go?
Oh no!
Guess what?
What?
He hit the button.
I got our standing AAA. It's all good.
Oh, alternate AEA.
Hell
Why
yeah!
am I in
Let's
AEA
go. Because
You're
it's
Just
Yeah.
podcast
You're
time.
gonna be part of the podcast because Ace decided to fuck off.
just stand in.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
We're already. All right, so just letting y'all know, White's already clicked live. So
Oh yeah, we are
Oh shit.
live.
we're going. We're live.
All right. Well, I guess to kick it off. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the briefing room, 13th MU podcast, hosted by your lovely command staff here. I'm Captain Takeda Hideyoshi, the company commander and Paul platoon leader.
I am Captain Dubs, newly promoted to Mock Commanding Officer.
I'm First Sergeant Cyber, SEA of Loaded Company.
I am Senior Chief White from the Trauma Element.
I'm Corporal Lambert for the Erebus platoon as a squad leader.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to any and all who are watching, possibly from the unit and things like that. We're going to spend the next few minutes here just generally speaking about stuff, and then we'll go into some survey questions that we had our unit kind of submit over the past few weeks, and kind of just go from there. But I guess to kind of kick off really the main point from kind of like last night's change of command, which we've never held one before. That was pretty. I'd say that was pretty emotional. One of the few times it was pretty rough for the unit. What would you say about it, Dubs?
For me, I mean, like I was saying offline, it's a bittersweet moment. Riptide and I have been friends for quite a few years now. Followed each other around to a squad unit. He brought me over to this unit, and sticking together ever since, building up to what it is now. So sad to see him go, but his reasons are valid. You know, family always comes first, like we say. So I look forward to taking up the mantle and continuing working on what we've built together.
Oh yeah. Um, for those who might be a little confused with Corporal Lambert being here, he's kind of our stand-in for the AEA right now. I think Master Sergeant's a little busy, um, so we've got Lambert kind of as the impromptu stand-in. So welcome, Lambert, someone who was the AEA for like a month previously as the assistant. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. This was kind of interesting. It's fun though.
Hey, look!
Oh,
Speaker
look,
decided.
it's the Master Sergeant. Look at that, he just appears.
Oh,
Ace, we are live, by the way, Ace. So
Speak
Yeah.
of the devil, and he shall appear.
Oh, okay.
Ace caught Lambert almost taking his job once, and he said not again. He joined 5 minutes later. That's wild.
Yeah,
All right.
universe
I got out of
speaking
the
to him.
shower. I was
Ace, go ahead and
Hello,
introduce yourself.
Hello, viewers. I'm Master Sergeant Ace, AEA of the 13th MU.
Oh yeah. Welcome, Massar.
Very
We almost have the full command staff. Sadly, we
Massar.
do not have the brand new XO of the unit because the old XO of Tuma was Mr. Captain Dubs here. Newest XO is Second Lieutenant Soccer. But sadly, I think due to what is it, school, football, whatever he's got going on, couldn't make it. Dubs.
Yeah,
What was,
it was
Family stuff tonight.
prior engagements.
he goes to ECU, right? Is it ECU?
No,
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
He goes to Charlotte. Hey, viewers,
Yeah.
support Charlotte. Anyway,
Yeah.
With that being said, I don't really have any other points to talk about other than like
I'd love
What you
to speak about the change of command. Unfortunately, I'm kind of I'm active duty, and right now we're deployed on a mission set, so I wasn't able to actually attend. However, speaking about the dynamic between Riptide and Dubs, you can't find two like I think the most like perfect looking yin yang symbol is Riptide and Dubs when they're operating together when it comes to leadership.
100%.
Riptide, very like stern grasp on his Tumos section. Make sure everything is like running properly and everything's very technically proficient. And you have Dubs is just like the like he is the that like soft spoken side when it comes to like he's making sure his men are taken care of, all their needs are being heard and stuff like that. And so when you put those two together, I think that's why Tuma really came together. From like when I first joined the unit, we had like what 4 people total, and now we have it to a point where we actually have the ability to have a changing of command and get comms, and then pilots an expert in whatever field they're in. Like that's really cool to see that growth over almost 2 years now of and I think that's completely contributed to Riptide's and Dub's leadership over there. So I think that's really cool to see in action, and it's definitely a hard chapter to close, but kind of makes me excited what's to come next. So
Yeah, I don't think a word describes it better than beyond what kind of just Dub said earlier yesterday was just how bittersweet it felt. It was pretty surreal because I mean Dubs and Rip have been there from the rip, but it's just like holy shit, like we're moving on to the next step. By the way, for those who don't know, like when Cyber says like actual mission set, like he's active fucking Navy, so that's real, not like in Milsim terms. Fucking A. But yeah, I mean, I guess going from that, we could probably get into the main point of tonight's little command review here with our podcast and talk about some survey questions that we got. I mean, there was a lot that came in through that survey, and it was really focused towards us as a command staff for our unit and the leadership that we could all genuinely work on because no one's perfect and everyone has to work on something. So with that due, Dubs, what do you got in terms of survey questions?
Hold on 1 second. Well, technical difficulties in the Discord right now.
Oh shit, we're all gonna die. Let's talk about one of our few and only staff NCOs. Let's talk about Staff Sergeant Yogi. What do we think about him? Is he a little smelly? Probably. He's a bear, but what can you do? Yeah, I mean, head of S6, radio communications and all that. He's a JTAC for the unit. Basically revitalized the role. I mean, how much?
Not only is he just a JTAC, he is the first JTAC in Hermes
Ever.
actual. So he's the JTAC of JTACs.
Yeah, we almost got rid of JTACs.
That's what I was about to bring up. I think before Yogi came along, we actively looked at the JTAC role as something that's just not needed and not important. After he took command of S6 and started putting out these SOPs and stuff like that, I don't see how units operate without a full JTAC. It's everything from support calls to resupplies to HVT extraction is done seamlessly, and it's because him and his shop. So it's awesome to see it work. It's awesome to see how Tuma uses their JTAC to work just so smoothly with ground forces all the time. It makes the force that we put out in the field feel so much larger than the men that we're actually fielding.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I can't remember how we did it back before we had Yogi. I just don't know how we did it, to be honest. I mean, 'cause
That's
we didn't.
when you say it like that, that's 100% true. I don't remember a time. I think I would just literally call them in. Like who would
Yeah.
call them in? Would it just be the squad leads? They would
I
just
think
call in.
no.
to an
I
RO?
remember we would have some ROs like Silvery,
Yeah,
Castle
we
at the
would
time.
do. We would do. It was the Romeos for the squads.
Holy
I
shit.
think all they would do was maybe say, "Hey, this grid or this marker, just bomb it with whatever," or they would put an LZ on map and just tell them to land or something. I think that was really it.
Dubs,
I think,
that
yeah.
Dubs, I think that worked like what Ace was saying with the squad ROs. I think that worked really well back in the day because how many people in Tumal did we have? Like maybe 4, 5. So like,
Um,
can you? I want you to tell us what you think would happen today if we used the same system where y'all had 3, well, now with Erebus, 4 people able to get on your comms and tell you what they needed.
oh, it would be absolute chaos. There would be, honestly, I think there would probably be a lot more accidental blue on blue, especially if the ROs aren't talking to each other.
Oh,
To
yeah,
be
100%
fair,
agree.
I think back then it was a lot easier because we didn't have as many people overall. Because like now in ops, we'll have 2 supers come and pick us up, or 3 maybe, because we have more pilots. But I remember back in the day, we never used the super for transport unless we had maybe 10 guys show up to an op. It was always a warhorse. So
Mhm.
that just
Yeah,
made that easy.
yeah, the Warhorse.
So
I think the point of time where the Warhorse insert started to become unpopular was that very first operation on NAMP, and the Warhorse came in on the wrong side of the mountain for the airfield and got whacked by a Russian Pantsir with about 30 packs in it. So that's when we started looking at maybe bringing all of our eggs in one basket is not the best idea.
The fact that
Um,
people still survived that crash, though, was
it was
wild.
awful.
The whole platoon survived. Like,
Thank God for survivable crashes.
I
Yeah, right?
don't remember that one in particular, but I remember we had supers and someone
Were
lost
y-
control of their HOTAS, and I was in one of
Oh,
those
that
birds.
was
Oh,
that
that
was
was a good
Dan.
one too. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was.
oh my
and we
god.
crashed into the ground, and I don't know how, but over half that bird survived, including me. I
Black
did
Hawk
get
Down
woken up
ass
though.
situation.
See, I know,
Yeah,
I know, I
but
don't know.
I think that's more of a what was the submarine that went down to the Titanic kind of situation.
Oh yeah.
Just his
Oh,
controller
jeez.
turned off.
yeah, he just flew straight into a tree, I think.
What the fuck happened, pilot? It stick no go.
So I know this happened a long time ago because I don't
That's the
remember
only time I
this.
remember
I wasn't
a
there.
really big crash.
Yeah. All right, Dubs. You almost done with your technical difficulties,
Oh
boy?
yeah, I was done 5 minutes ago.
All right, let's get these survey questions going, man. What's you got?
All right. Well, I think this one might be specifically geared towards Yoshi specifically.
Oh shit.
But I think we could all chip in on like our earliest memory of joining the unit. But Yoshi, what was it like starting the unit?
Oh jeez. It was my sophomore year of college, and it was spring semester of February 2022, and it was 5 people. It was myself, as CO, Uma as my XO, then we had Eternal as the first sergeant. We had a guy named Striker, who was the sergeant, and Joe, who was a corporal. We started off with 5 people, and I don't know what it was, if it was like a fucking dream or whatever you want to call it, but I just had like this moto feeling because for years I had been a part of units, looking through units, kind of going through the motions of trying to find a group, and I couldn't mesh well with really any of them because there'd be some sort of stupid ass civil war, or the chain of command would fall apart, or the CO of that unit would try to do everything, and you know, no actual like delegation amount, and sometimes they were just like too strict, or they weren't like somewhat strict enough. There was no SOP for anything, and I got sick of it and was like, "Fuck it, I want to run my own unit," because I used to do Milsim shit back on Battlefield 4, which sounds probably silly to some people, but like that was just what you did. And I mean, I used to do Milsim all the way back till I was 14 years old on a Battlefield Battlefield 3, which is like, oh my god, I feel like a boomer because some people are like, what? But yeah, that initial start was crazy for the first like month or two, because we went from 5 people to like 15 or 20, and then from there it was that first like, I'd have to say the first like 8 months of that existence was truly a testament, because between all the drama and whenever you run an organization, there's just always just inherent drama with anything. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's like Arma 3, video games, a gaming community, real life. People are people, and so drama is just going to exist because of people. And it's honestly absurd with the amount of like amazing and yet genuinely horrendous people I have met through Milsim. But I would still do it at the end of the day because I love doing it. It's been an awesome experience and an awesome journey. And I can't wait till the start of next year when I ship out to Quantico to make it a real thing. And hopefully I'll still have time for here, as much as I can. But that'll be the end all be all decider there for sure. But I think I've made a successful organization where I don't need to be here 100% of the time anymore, which is great.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing taken away from that startup story and stuff is seeing how the unit like acts in combat, and the amount of like go get 'em kind of attitude we have from our ground guys here and stuff. Oh man, I am terrified to see you lead actual Marines. that's that's going to be a terrifying company. That's so yeah, excited and really happy to see that come about in like your actual life as well. Battlefield 4 Milsim. Talk about the days.
Oh, jeez. You guys, man, you want to talk about some drama? that
Yeah.
was genuine drama.
Battlefield 4 Milsims are cancer.
Yeah, I think
The
a lot of us
community.
bad.
here can relate to Battlefield 4 Milsim.
That's where I started.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I started on GTA 5, but
Oh
we're not gonna talk
God.
about that.
Yeah, oh my God. Battlefield 4 Milsim started for me on Battlefield 3 when I was like 13, 14. And I ended up going through and joining like a MARSOC unit, right? And they had us sitting there as a recruit with our knives out on the wall of the LHD on a, oh, I can't, it was like Dragon's Teeth, or it's one where you both
One of
start
the
from the
Pacific
carrier
ones.
ships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you got your toes online ass on the top deck, and you had a dude literally yelling at us. Like, I was in one of those units. My first unit was that kind of unit where they were yelling at us over the microphone, get down, get up, now swim, and all this other crazy stuff. And then I don't know, I kind of blank on the memory of it, but at some point I had basically became the gunny and was leading a group of like 5 or 6 dudes, and they all left, and when they left they wanted me to come with. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. I went with them. We tried running an oligarchy style thing. No one liked it. And then I somehow got put in charge. And then from there, we rebranded and became the 10th. I think it was just like the 10th Marines. Like, we weren't an MEU or anything super specific. Like, we were just the 10th. And when it comes to Battlefield Milsims, like, the reason why I think there's like 10 times the amount of drama is simply because you have to fight other people. You have to get with other units, physically speak to them, agree to specific terms and like how combat is oriented. Because like, you don't want to go up against a unit who like does 360 no scopes and stupid shit like that. Like, you want to go up against a unit that actively trains and acts like a milsim. But if you're winning, someone's gonna do something that breaks a rule, like using shotguns only, or noob spamming mortar tubes, or camping through the spawns, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And no matter what, it was always dramatic because someone always had something to say, or there was always some outcome that wasn't fair. And you're fighting people like the whole time. It's just PvP on PvP. But oh my goodness, dude, like 10th Marines, like I think we got up to like 20 or 30 people at one point. And that's where I had actually finally had met like Uma and Eternal. was through there. And I was just doing that for years on end until about 2018. So about 4 or 5 years of like Battlefield stuff, and then we finally transitioned over to PC, and that's where like that long search took place. And then bang, bing, bang, boom. 4 years later, we started. That's when the 13th started, and yeah, back to again. It just kind of full circles back to here we are. But my God, the drama from Battlefield is insane. Just kind of remembering some of the key points I could.
You remember running the edge of the map and calling out the direction you was going, so they knew
Y-
how you they
Yep.
made it know you knew how to read a compass.
I'll never forget one of our NJPs was swimming one of the maps. Like you swam the whole map on the edge of it, and if you died, you had to restart. I can't
What
believe
about
people did it.
skull draggers, where you laid down and aimed down sights and had to crawl backwards?
Yep. Yeah, we did it on
Those
the
were.
top of the ship, on the top of the LXD. That
I
was so
remember
dumb.
we had
Oh, man.
sometimes just run to a wall and hit over a knife and come back.
Yep. Oh my
Oh,
God,
man.
Ace. Yeah. Fuck. Dude, there's so many specific things people made you do. We even had a point where we would make you crawl on the ground. It was Goldman Railway. It was Goldman Railway, the map, and we would make you crawl the entire time, crawl on the ground, throw out a C4 charge, crawl away, make a hole, and we make you cover like half the map in holes or some shit. And
Oh,
mind
my.
you, I'm 15 years old telling grown men what to do. I think about that now and I'm like, what the fuck? Like
What was
why?
So
your whole map?
I remember one of the weirdest things
Ugh.
I've seen in Battlefield 4 was I was maybe a lieutenant or captain or something in a unit, and there was another guy who was punishing, or I don't know if he was, I can't remember if it was a punishment or a team building experience, but we basically made like a human centipede, kind of, and we
God.
called it a train. So what we did was we
Oh,
had the
no.
one person be the horn, one person be the engine, one person be the wheels, and they would like try to just crawl down to the end of the road making different sounds. It was weird. I don't know
That's
why we did
amazing.
that.
A special time in our lives for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, I never
See,
had
like,
I never had to deal with that. Never did it.
I can't wrap my head around Battlefield 4 Milsim. Like,
Yeah, neither can
I
I.
played Battlefield 4 just to play Battlefield 4, but Milsim in Battlefield 4, I can't wrap my head around that.
Dude, it was a whole
So
organization.
when you play on console, there was no armor.
Yeah,
The closest thing you got was maybe Flashpoint, but I mean, there's no one played that. The controls were so jankin'.
So the
Flashpoint,
way,
Yeah.
so the way I looked at it was that the reason like why it's so different is because here in Arma we have mods, we have actual mechanics and stuff to give us the realism, like actual ways to do realism combat, and we don't really have to focus on the roleplay too much. But with the Battlefield stuff, the only way you get the Milsim is through the roleplay. That's why there was all these fucking not NGPs, but like PT stuff. You would do PT,
Oh.
and people would
Oh
yell at
my
you,
God.
"Yes sir, no sir," because that's where the roleplay, that's where the Milsim would come from. Because when we would actually like fight another unit, I mean, it'd just be like it's just one shot PvP. That's really all it
Mhm.
was, with
Yeah,
some
you could-
rules sprinkled in.
You could,
You could
yeah,
shoot
that's
somebody
right.
with
You
like a 9mm in the ankle, and it would
Mhm.
kill them. So
Yeah, that was the only way to keep it realistic.
Yeah.
you could set the. We figured out like when you bought a server and you like hosted a server because that's what you could do through console and stuff. So again, it was like the closest thing, again by miles, but it was the closest thing to Arma 3. You could actually set server settings, and we had set our settings to like such a perfect degree where like weapon damage was, I think it was like 2 bullets to the chest, 1 to the head. Like we had set it perfectly because we couldn't get it any other way. So like we were really good at dropping motherfuckers with like what felt like real rounds, but like 2 9mm to the chest would absolutely dome you. I remember, oh my God, I used to be such a shithead. I would always walk around with the 44 Magnum because like, you know, little Yosh. Or back then I was Red Demon 252, and if I was correcting people, I would just dome them. Nope, you're wrong, and I just shoot them, and that's how I do it. And they were never allowed to shoot at me because I was that little egotistical fucking teenage asshole CO. It's like, who fuck, bang, fix yourself. Like, and people just did it, dude. And it was surreal because once the I think it was like the Xbox One or Xbox X came out, and Battlefield 4 went from that 12v12 to 32v32. That's when shit got crazy in the Milsim
Oh,
community.
64 player.
we got a
Yeah.
we got a I got a request from the chat right now actually that I am quite interested in. We've been talking about some Battlefield 4 Milsim and stuff. Ace, tell us about your time in GTA Milsim.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just
yeah,
seen that
let's hear
too.
it.
Yeah.
Let's hear
Yeah.
it. You got it,
Okay,
Ace.
about this.
so let me get you to the point. So I had no idea. So this is maybe when I was like 14 or 13, and I was just
So
starting
like
to
2
get
years
into
ago?
roleplay. Okay, fuck. But basically, the way how I got to the Milsim was did like a cop role play thing, like life thing at first, and then someone was like, "Hey, have you heard of the Milsim?" For the longest time as a little kid, I never read Milsim as Milsim, and when I would go to looking for group posts on Xbox, I thought people were like recruiting for like Muslim or something. I was like, "What is this?" Because I couldn't.
Trying to make you join a religion.
That's what I thought. I was like, "What is this? Why are people trying to recruit me for that?" But and then I learned what it was, and I remember I joined, tried to start my own. It didn't really work, but it was basically a really cancer because you would have. I mean, it's like very similar to Battlefield 4 with the whole role play, yes sir, no sir, PT, run around the map, swim across the bay. Um, it was really like kind of just ceremonies and just kind of customizing your vehicles to try to make them look real military. But like actual fighting, it'd be the same thing. Uh, we would call it raiding or whatever. So like if you were just chilling in a public lobby and you were ripping tags or something, like your clan tags, another unit would see you and occasionally just join your session and start beating you up. And then you tell your people in the Milsim they join that lobby and a whole war be going on. Uh, but then you had your griefers who would use like there was also rules too. So it was like if you were a real Milsim, you couldn't use like the flying bike with missiles and stuff, or like. But some people just didn't care. Like there was Milsim, and then there was like trolls who did the same thing, and they would use all that different type of cheeky stuff. It was really cancer. It was really bad.
If I don't know if y'all see the chat, but someone just said me and the boys going to pray in the GTA mosque.
Oh man.
Oh, dude, that's so crazy.
But it was not that bad. I liked it mainly because you got a lot of the combat was pretty bad, but I liked it because we would like go into the military base and actually like it'd just be like if we were just stationed there and we'd pretend going to the different offices. We'd have some of the people doing like PT and stuff. Yeah. Oh, I got a message question that I can answer from one of our viewers.
What you got?
He asked me what GTA groups was I in. If I can remember, it was MFO. We were a Marine unit or something. And then it was like UBT. We were like an army unit, I think, but it was like United Teddy Bear Nation. Oh, and by the way, all the names, like no one repped. I don't remember a single GTA unit repping real unit stuff. It was always basically like a PMC name or their own like fictional military thing, because it was like, really hard to kind of replicate or duplicate, kind of. But
Jeez.
it was really just all crazy names. Like I remember Atlas. I wasn't a part of them, but it would be like just it was basically like PMCs. But yeah.
Before we step off to the next survey question here, I think we spent enough time on this one. Generally, Lambert, how are you? What is your take and kind of position on Milsim now? You're fairly young. You might be almost one of the youngest members of the unit. What's your take on everything? I mean, you've got family in here. I think this might be your first one. I'm not too sure, but like, what's your take on the 13th and what you've experienced so far, especially as a fucking squad leader now for an element?
I've been through a few small milsims, like 12 dudes at the absolute like peak of their entire like time. And then I went through one other big one, but it was a Halo unit. then I kind of shifted over here because my brother's in here, you know. Came in here. You know, I was real young. Was kind of done over time. You know, this unit's honestly one of the best units I've ever seen out of my entire time. You know, and I've watched other people play in like other units, but this is definitely the best because we have a good structure. We have like standards that we uphold instead of letting people do whatever they want. You know, it's also, you know, grown. It's a big unit. We have a bunch of people. We've got 2 full squads. We've got a mechanized element now. You know, we've got a lot of going on, and we've got a bunch of good people in here. So I think it's definitely. I enjoy Milsim a lot more now that I'm in a good unit.
What are
I'm glad
the?
you-
Go ahead, Cyber.
I was gonna say that like I'm glad that because even I like obviously working with you through NCOC and all that kind of stuff, seeing you grow like not only just as a milsim or a community member or any of that kind of stuff, but like as a person has. I don't know. It's kind of weird to say, seeing you like evolve in maturity and also like just personal skills from when you first joined to now, and it's really cool to like kind of see that, I guess. But then I also, um, after you know Yoshi says well he wants to Lambert, I want to hear the same question from White because before joining a friend here, he did not play first person shooters like just at all and jumped directly into Milsim. And so I want to hear his answer to that same question you asked Lambert as well.
All right. So yeah, like Cyber said, I never really played first shooters. Like I played COD every once in a while with friends, played Warzone every once in a while. But I'm an RPG player. I heavily World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, just like the big RPGs. So when my friend bought the game for me and I kind of felt like I had to play, it was like like joining you guys felt like I was stepping back into the military. It had the structure, it had the SOPs, it had like wow, okay, this is weird that somebody's doing this like this hardcore in a fucking video game, and it like blew my mind. And here I am, almost a year and a half later, still in it. So yeah, it's like I didn't know anything about Battlefield Milsims. I didn't know anything about I I didn't even know Milsims existed for video games.
I think one of the final points before I get Dubs here with the next question. I think a lot of people don't genuinely realize, like, at least I'm gonna. Obviously, I'm biased. I run the 13th, but I think there's nowhere else that I have been or actively have led where we genuinely teach people how to become leaders. Like we can give you the tools, we can help you out. Obviously, it's going to come down to the individual, but like the TLC, NCOC pipeline, like you actually have to learn. Granted, you learn like basic tactics and like strategy and stuff, but like I don't think people truly encompass that. Like if we took everything that we do in here and we all met up and did it, it translates 1-to-1. Now, granted, some people might not be able to run a lot because like that's a
Yeah,
whole
that's
other
me.
physical thing. But like, if I met up with all of you guys in chat and told you guys to get into like a wedge, like we would know what the fuck we're talking about, right? And then if I also met up with you guys and we held like these same meetings or we talked about like individual surveys and like how we could be better leadership, whether that's praising in public, reprimanding in private, like that's all real world skills. Like even though it's all through voice, it's all game, like you still genuinely learn how to become a leader. You might not always be a great leader, like you're gonna fail, but that's just kind of part of the learning process. You don't really grow from without having any failure aspect. And I could say that I personally have seen Lambert grow a lot I've seen everyone in here grow a lot. I myself have grown. Like, I used to be super fucking crazy with like the overt seriousness and stuff, and I can still revert every now and then just due to like stress or whatever the hell goes on. But it's good knowing that there is a real world reflection to a certain point at the end of the day for what we do here still translates for people. And I've had people who have come in through the unit and been like, this organization has helped me be a better person. And I've had those real talks, and it's surreal. And so when people ask me like, why do you take it so seriously? Like, why are you so dedicated? It's like, it's little tiny things like, yeah, I enjoy playing a fucking video game at the end of the day, but like being able to actually help people, and whether that's keeping them from self-harm or making them a better leader, or just letting them have a good time and being a part of an organization such as our own, that to me is why I take it so seriously and why it's such a big thing to me. And that's why I think I'll never let down on our leaders, because I still want them to be good leaders at the end of the day. With
Yeah, I think that's
that,
Very well
yeah.
put.
I think it's really well said.
And
I
on the
was gonna say, if
topic,
you guys
on the
want to top
topic
on
of,
it,
I was gonna say, on the topic of, you brought up self harm, uh, in memory of Oddman. If you need to speak to anybody, please reach out. Especially, Cyber's trained in it. He's a trainer and instructor in a
Assist.
Navy course for it.
Yeah.
I've had previous training in it. Like, you can reach out and talk to any of us. Please speak to someone before you make a permanent decision.
for the love of God, please do. You don't need more August events, man.
Yeah.
Even on that, I had a friend in real life recently that I went through my Rook training with at our school, which is like our kind of like our boot camp, I'd say. Um, I ended up finding out he took his life on Memorial Day, and he was active duty Army. So, yeah, guys, please, if you're feeling any type of way, like I know we have like COC and shit like that, but like on a real note, please reach out to any of us. Like, we're always going to be here to listen to you guys if you need to vent about something, especially if it's to that degree. Like, we're always going to be here for you guys.
I would 100% much rather listen and take the time out of my day to listen and talk to your story than me having to take the time out of my day to speak at your funeral. So, yes, please reach out. Ooh, some somber stuff in the middle of our first podcast,
Yeah.
diving into it
Yeah.
really deep. Let's get back to
All right.
some of the
What do you got,
questions.
Dubs? Yeah.
So I think this can go out to everyone. Are there any past members that have left the unit that you would like to see come back?
Let's do bottom up. Let's do bottom up. Let's start with Lambert, and then
yeah.
we'll go up
Yeah.
from there. That's a good question.
I honestly, I haven't been here long enough. Like, there's a lot of people. Are we counting retired as a part of this then?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
anybody,
so.
right?
Yeah. Anyone that's left or retired. Yeah.
I'd probably say Ark and Crusader because they had a giant impact on me as a person. Like they both helped me grow as a genuine person and not just be 14 and stupid. Like they were a big impact on it, like everybody else in command staff and everybody around me.
Fair.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they were good guys
Those
for
two,
sure.
yeah, very close friends. Yeah, very awesome people to have around, and definitely headstrong leaders.
All right. Next up, we'll go Ace.
Oh man, there's a lot of people to pick from.
Especially as an
Maybe
old
one.
head.
Maybe one that like stands out.
I don't remember all their names, but I remember a few of them. Probably a lot of the people who were originally in like the OG Demon. So for context, before Demon was ever mechanized, was ever like just now infantry or got shut down, when I first joined the unit, I think, well, I don't even know, like over a year ago now, Demon just got opened and I was placed in there as a team lead. or because I was coming up the pipeline and I was just already going to be pretty set as a team lead. But those guys, there's maybe 6 or 5 of us, but some people left and some people didn't and all that. But those people, just because of the climate of the unit, it was a lot of just squads against each other to see who was better. And I built a lot of bonds with those people because those were like, because it was kind of us versus everyone else. At least that's how it was in the unit at the time. And then after that, after the February incident, which some people may know what that is, may not. Then when I became the squad leader of Blackjack, it was a time of rebuilding. And I did a lot of recruiting for my squad, Blackjack. And then a lot of people who stayed afterwards were in my squad. And that's who I knew people were real. But if I had to pick on names, he was a Vietnamese guy. He didn't speak English very well, but
Yeah.
damn, did he know how to use a sniper rifle and a marksman rifle?
Was that whiskey?
Minty. No,
Oh, it was
Minty.
No,
Minty.
Minty.
Oh,
Yeah,
Minty.
Minty.
fuck.
He was really
Yep.
spotting on attendance every now and then. I remember he got sick, and then I don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared. But man, I loved being with him. Fuck, who
I
else?
agree. Minty, if you're out there, man, like, chime into us if you for some reason see this video,
Minty,
man.
come back.
Not even come back. Just let us know you're okay, man. We got worried because kind of
Yeah.
disappeared. It's
Um,
yeah.
another person I think would probably. Oh man, like I said, there's a lot of people. Probably Rooster too, and Tunes.
Rooster Tunes,
Most
yeah.
most of the guys on who are retired, that'd be good. Um, uh, I know you're not gonna like this, but Talbert, I think even though he didn't really do much like in harms of the unit, it was mainly Navarez. But I mean, he was like the person I was closest with during my beginning stages of the unit. Like, if he was to come back, I'd be fine with it. It's just like a private.
Might be a
Yeah, that's
controversial
fair.
opinion for some people, but I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like, that's your first contact with, like, your genuine leadership either, so I won't.
yeah. He was my
It is what it
first
is.
leader in this unit, so
Mhm.
I think it would be cool to see what he would think of the unit today because it's very different
It
than
is
what it was.
vastly different from a year
Very,
and some
very
change
different.
ago.
yeah.
So that might
Alright.
be an interesting take.
Yeah.
Next up the ladder, White.
Drop dead time's 1950, by the way.
All right,
So we're still good for the 30 minutes.
all right.
You could just
So
extend that, right?
Yeah, if only.
so the one person I would like to come back is Cthulhu.
Oh,
Oh,
Cthulhu.
Yeah,
yeah.
Cthulhu. That dude might be up there in the realm of like Sluggo and Tom, as in like medical knowledge and know-how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was.
When I first became a corpsman, um,
Dude, that guy was shit.
Casey helped me out a little bit, but Cthulhu, fucking, he just, wow, like, he helped me out to the point where I was more comfortable, and like his help has helped me become the corpsman I am today. And I try to instill that into the new guys that join us.
That's it. Time to reach out an old man chat. Cthulhu, let's go.
Cthulhu's on
Get your ass
deployment.
back here. Yeah.
He's on
Yeah,
deployment.
that's true.
That's why
Shit,
he
that's like a
retired.
quarter of our retired guys are fucking deployed, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
Ah.
All right, Cyber.
All right, well, I think everyone kind of knows what I'm gonna say. I want my misfits back. We still got some scattered around in the unit and stuff like that, but the original core that joined and Kamachi forward, is like, oh man, that's those were good old days. But also I think like thinking if I had to pick a person, um, that's hard. That's hard to narrow down with so many people that's come through and moved on. It's really hard think it's weird to say, but I think like Talbert as well for some reason. Like when you ask that question, and like when you ask that question, that was the first name that came to my mind. Talbert, as much as me and him butted heads when I was Komachi squad lead, um, it he was and most likely still is an insanely good squad lead, fire team lead. The guy knows how to move operationally. He could kind of be a jerk, but like we all were. So that was a weird question for me because I thought about it and immediately thought that in my head, and I was like, why did I think that? Oh wait, hold on,
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense. But yeah,
That was my same thing too. I didn't know if I wanted to say Talbot just because of everything, but I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, we talked about it in the past. He just followed those people for his own reasons. He didn't try to do any harm to the unit or anything. He just simply
Yeah.
didn't like it here anymore.
Yeah.
So
He didn't like me.
yeah, he didn't like you. That's what he told me.
There was two more that I think I'd like to hear like Cap speak on from the chat. Omeo and Uma is what's kind of coming up in the chat. I wouldn't mind hearing your take on those two when it gets around to you. But
Yeah,
I think next
I'll
is
talk about 'em.
Stubbs.
Just remind me, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about my pilots. Mac and Dan, honestly. Mac and Dan, if you're out there, love to have you back. Mac, I don't know if you may not remember, but Mac was a DCS pilot, I believe. He was in like a DCS
Yeah.
group that did like air shows and then combat stuff. I think Mac what SOP did he write?
I think he wrote the first implementations of
Yeah, he started JTAC. The very
Yeah.
first implementation of JTAC.
The only reason why I heard him out was because it was like well thought out, well written. Like it wasn't
And
just
yeah, it was like a
some
2-page
nonsense.
document, wasn't it?
No, it was like 9. I still have it.
No,
It was 9
like
pages.
10 pages.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, that still ain't got nothing on Yogis.
Oh yeah, 70
we
fucking
don't
pages.
even want
70
to.
pages.
Yeah.
But Mac and then Dan. Dan was a really good pilot, fast track through the pipeline. And then, as for most people, life took over, moved, and went back to school. And it was night school, but Mac and Dan, they were damn good pilots.
I guess that's me.
Yeah, now
Yep,
on to
that's all you, big man.
the big
jeez.
captain.
Man, I tell you, I've been half listening, half thinking. This unit has been through hundreds of people, like, which is crazy to think about. Hundreds of like actual human beings that I have met. Oh man, who do I? Man, if I had to pick one person, like to come back, right? Honestly, my first thought was Crusader. I know he was still kind of recent from like 3 months out, but I'd have to pick Crusader. Crusader or No, I think Crusader was honestly my first thought. I mean, like he was the one of the first people to get the White Lotus ribbon, which is one of our highest awardable ribbons for the unit. I mean, just full time dedicated. He joined the unit the first 6 months that it existed with Omeo, because they went to school together, and then a year later came back and kind of helped revitalize the mechanized training and SOPs and things like that, and just was a part of S2 at one point, and just I guess life got in the way for him, and I think Crusader would just be kind of like that top first thought because that's who kind of popped in. Be behind the hundreds of people that I have met and gone through, and sometimes still talk with. It's probably on him right now. Um,
And then referring to the chat, PFC Omo, and then someone's asking about Uma.
so like, what do I think of him, or
I think they're asking about your opinion of them and if you would welcome them back or want to see them come back.
so the less controversial person, Omoe,
Omeo.
however you said his name, right? I always said Omoe, or no, I said Omeo. I
Yeah, Omeo is what
Oh,
I
you
call
said
him.
Omoe or something.
yeah,
Omoe,
I
I
always
said
said
Omeo.
Omoe, right? Um, I never had an issue with. I never had an issue with him. I mean, like, he was actually, I think, one of the first staff NCOs of the unit before we had anything in place of like how to get there. Like now, it's a long, strenuous process. But I think in like the first 4 or 5 months, he became a staff sergeant, and then what we asked of him was a lot, especially as young as he was, and that kind of pushed him out, and that's just kind of what happens sometimes because there's a massive workload that comes with everything. But yeah, I don't have an issue. I would totally welcome him back. No problems there. Uma is an interesting, controversial topic. Um, it was probably one of the most difficult situations. I would still say it was one of the most difficult situations that I had ever been put in as like the CO, where I had to actually uphold the unit's sense of like values and structure. And Uma, from my recollection, again, this is fucking 2 years ago at this point, but he wasn't someone that you could argue with and could really twist words around very well. Um, Probably one of the closest friends that I had ever since Battlefield 4. But ever since I had met the Misfits, I realized was not a very good person. Um, and I still, as weird as it is, I still find myself missing him from time to time because like it's like an 8, 9 year friendship that went down the hole over a video game. Um, a situation where essentially my whole leadership between Tuma and the ground were basically pitted in a situation of this guy isn't doing it. He's not following rules and regs. He hasn't been here in 2 months, and he doesn't show up to anything with his girlfriend, who at the time was also the chief corpsman. And I was kind of finally put in that scenario of, I either pick Uma and lose the whole unit, or I pick the unit and kick Uma out. And that's kind of what it was. Like basically it was a difference between my friendship and the values that I preached, right? And I think seeing the way that he reacted to the whole thing and him choosing to completely cut ties, and then even a year later when that February incident happened, that he still held such a bitter grudge over something like that. I think I've finally kind of pushed on from that point. And if he ever wanted to come out and like join the unit, I wouldn't have an issue with it. My only thing is knowing what I know is there would always be some underlying thing said or something to like prod at the situation that would have occurred. And again, people change, but I've moved on from it. I don't know if he has the capability of moving on from it, but that's just me generally speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things where like people are people, and if we truly moved on from it, awesome, totally, 100%. I'd let him back in. Um, but if there was ever like nonsense or drama that would come out of it, then no, it wouldn't be worth my time or the unit's time.
All right. And you will address our last question. That should probably take us to our drop dead time, since we do have an op tonight. I think this one we'll go bottom up again because this will be for everyone. What is your most memorable 13th MEU moment?
Oh boy. There've been a ton. Like honestly, I've enjoyed this unit enough that most like large moments have I like all of them. I enjoy being in this unit. The change in command yesterday was probably the most memorable just because it was like we've had a bunch of GWIs, we've had the remembrance ceremony for Oddman, like we've had all of this, but seeing Riptide go and, you know, have people fill in his place, like from me, like joining as a private who just barely got here, like never thought Riptide would disappear. He was the head of S2. He was this dude who like is always there. I've never like, you know, I don't interact with him much, but like I knew he was there and he was always like big. So probably the remembrance ceremony for me because it was the biggest change since I've gotten here.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a big standout moment. Ace.
This is gonna sound not ironic or maybe a little weird because it may not seem as big as a deal as what I am now, but getting promoted to staff sergeant was really big for me because I wasn't expecting it, and there was just at the time when I was promoted, there was no staff sergeants. Well, maybe there was. I don't remember. If there was only one. And I just remember the whole stigma around being a staff NCO in the unit at the time was it's really hard. You have to be here for a while. You got to put in a lot of work, and it still is that today. But it was just after a time where we were in really bad spot. For a time, I was the only infantry NCO for maybe a month, and I had to put in a lot of work across just like the blackjack squad and just infantry as a whole. And like it wasn't like I was told I was getting promoted or nothing. It was just one day I got caught up on Wake Island, and I was like, wow, I don't. It was really weird. It meant a lot. So I think that's probably my favorite memory. I would say, because it was just special in a way, just because of what it meant.
Oh yeah, man.
All right. White.
Yeah, like Ace and Lambert said, there's been a lot of memorable moments, like Oddman's remembrance ceremony, Riptide's retirement. Um, but no, the one that sticks out in my head is the day that I got promoted to senior chief, being the unit's first senior chief. That was totally unexpected. I still don't think I deserve it, but yeah, that's that's it. Like that's going to be one thing that sticks in my head for a while.
That was the unit's birthday.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, you had your promotion on the unit's birthday. I remember that.
Yeah, it's the unit's birthday, my promotion, and I got the White Lotus.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, there was a lot of love coming from Alex in the chat for you, man. So
Oh, I
don't ever
see it.
think you don't deserve that. Yeah, it's definitely well deserved. We'll have to second Alex on that.
100%, man. I gave it, so yeah, you deserve it, bitch.
Yeah.
Someone thinks you do.
If I say you do, you do.
What you got, Silver?
Oh man, so I wish this was a better question because everyone's given such, you know, like such wholesome moments and stuff like that. But question is most memorable, and there's nothing that will stick with me more than the argument. Like the argument. You know what I mean? The one that led to the February incident. Being in that chat and at the moment, two people that I very much looked up for and wanted to support, just reached that like flashover point. And in that exact moment, like you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? You don't know what's gonna happen going forward. And I think why it still stands as one of the most memorable is because we recovered. Like everything transpired. The odds were not very high for us for a long, long time, but we're still here, and we are still pushing forward, and we'll continue to do so. Really don't think like anything can. After witnessing that and knew what happened, I don't think anything can tear it down. It's just not going to happen. It, um,
Cyber, I'm not gonna lie. When you were saying that, Elton John's "I'm Still Standing" song popped in my fucking head.
Perfect song.
So I think that would have to be the most memorable for me. It was that was rough. That was a rough chat to be in. If I had to pick like a favorite one, um, ah, it was the change over from where
All right, I'm
you
back.
really it's where Yoshi, the moment that you let go of the reins for me in S5 related stuff. You know, you had held my hand for a little bit, making sure that the story and stuff would be good and like the missions were up. And then right about like Serrano time, the return to Serrani, that you showed so much in trust in me of letting me take over the story and stuff and return to the initial campaign of the entire Unix existence. And that installed a lot of confidence in me. Uh and I really hope like I did it justice as well. So that's my favorite moment.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first book's ending. I thought it was a pretty solid ender, especially being the guy who dies.
Yeah,
I thought it was like,
you
shit.
turned it over to me and I killed
Where's the
you.
cap?
That's
Where's
rough.
Captain at? Like,
He didn't
they
make
got
it,
him.
man.
They got him.
They got him.
No, I thought it was fantastic, man, and I'm glad that was one of your core memories from that one. That's awesome. Dubs.
Oh man, I don't know if I can pick one memorable moment, so I'm gonna go top three. I
Valid,
think
valid.
all time number one favorite moment is doing the missing man flyover for Oddman. Um,
Oh,
me,
jeez, yeah.
Riptide, Soccer, and Lenve practicing for I think the whole week on first getting the formation down and then working on timing. And then finally on the day that we had to do it, just nailing it. Second, 30 minutes. I think I'd have to say the Alamo mission. Taking on the probably 12, 13, 15 aircraft pretty much by myself and taking them all down without being shot down was pretty awesome. Final moment.
Y'all's cap coverage of that mission was insane.
Oh yeah. Final moment, I'd have to say, probably. I think we're looking at 5-6 weeks ago now. Was current map the assault on the big airfield, dodging 25 SAM missiles. That was horrifying.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness.
For probably a solid 45 seconds, my RWR was going off, and holy hell. But yeah, that's my top three.
So we're down to the wire here, especially to those who are listening. We got about maybe 5 minutes left, maybe a minute or two extra, but I'm gonna use my executive power as CO to name a few just key moments from my existence here. But
The Jesus brain skull.
the Jesus brain skull, right? That was definitely one of them. I'd have to say the very first op that the unit ever did, which was the invasion of Serrani. It was an amphibious invasion. It was the most marine invasion you could ever get. Artillery bombardment, taking a town, the whole shebang. Funny enough, I was drunk during the very first ever
Oh my
operation.
god.
Um, now, some people tell you that was the reason why that rule was written in S2 for sobriety, but it wasn't. It was a whole other person. And I mean that genuinely. Um, it was probably the most marine thing ever, being drunk during a naval invasion and taking on the enemy. That was the first op ever, most memorable, right? One of. The next one would probably have been the official opening of Tuma 5 months in. As bitter as it was with how kind of Tuma's existence was until Riptide and Dubs kind of fulfilled that role, it was still a milestone nonetheless to me, because we had just used AI up until that point. Um, I'd have to say probably when the Misfits all joined the unit was a big one for me. Um, and after that, another one was the situation with Uma and the unit. Basically, I was pitted between actually holding the standard versus friendship kind of thing and being like every other unit. That really tested me that day. The taking of Namph in the snow, the whole naval invasion on that one, the destroyers firing off artillery rounds, taking the airfield, that was awesome.
Oh my god, Winter Nymph.
Yeah,
Winter
Winter
Nymph.
That was
Um,
That was
probably
the
what Cyber
coldest
said.
winter.
Yeah, what Cyber said with the argument that occurred. That was another moment. Honestly, every every promotion is such a big memorable moment for me because it just was like it was these things that people work towards and like you genuinely earned. It was such an awesome experience. It's always great to see, and it makes me happy that people strive to achieve these little things. Like, yeah, these are fake ranks and like fake awards and stuff like that, but it's still cool because as much as people like say whatever or humble about it, like I know it means something, even if it's like it's our way of like we know that you're doing good, you know, and it's just awesome. uh, Probably one of the final key memories was the final battle of Lithium, which started off this whole campaign on in Tagistan and Northern Tagistan. Like I have shout out to everybody in chat. Like Shadow is actively working on a story of retelling that. Go and please check out the YouTube because the first part he's already done. The second part should be coming out sometime uh, this weekend or a few days from now, which shows the battle that the Recon Marines went through of the Battle of Lithium. And there'll be a third video a month from now that literally covers the battle and how it played out. And it was such a long op, and it was so grand scale that it was 3 Zeuses, all of the infantry, all of Tuma. Tuma's probably highest kill streak ever from a single op. Probably one of the most memorable moments for me in terms of like infield combat.
Alpaca out there getting captured. I know you can see this and hear this alpaca
Yeah.
getting captured.
Yeah, just hopped
Get
into
captured.
the helo.
Get in, little boy.
Yeah.
Just
Here,
hop- hey,
here, we're here to save you. Just kidding.
Riptide did his best to try to get back to him, but then you had those 3 fucking bigs just appear from
So
the ether.
there is one moment I always remember. Price nuking the fucking server.
Oh my god,
nuking
Price
Nymph.
nuking the map.
Yeah.
Price
You got-
nuking Nymph. That's
You got
so
Ace.
good.
Do it. Do it. Just
Man, do it
I
now.
hate this island.
Blow
I
it
hate
up.
this fucking island.
And that's why the Germans won't work with us anymore.
Yeah.
Blow up their airfield.
Let me. All right, boys. Well,
It is drop dead time, fellas.
it is. Yep. It's 1950.
Ah.
I want to. My final comments on this are just that thank you for those who viewed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the very first episode ever. I think this one stays on the YouTube.
Uh,
Race White?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We're
then
gonna have an edited version for sure. Shadow's gonna edit this down for us for those who want to watch a shorter one, but this will be the first episode, and I think it was honestly a great turnout. We had more than 10 viewers. That was
Yeah.
I was
The
honestly
entire
expecting
time.
like
We-
4.
The
I think we
entire
peaked
time.
out at like 17.
yeah, we've got
That's
13
pretty
current right
awesome.
now. We've got 34 views.
Wow.
Very cool.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
9
awesome.
likes. What are y'all doing? No, I'm just kidding.
Join the
uh,
unit.
Like
but
and
yeah,
subscribe.
and the funny thing is, we didn't even get through half the questions that we wanted to.
Yeah, this wasn't
yeah,
even
with
the
this-
majority of them.
We should probably
Material.
maybe start this an hour earlier, like the next time we do it.
Well, that
'cause
was
just
We were
that
because
was the
supposed
goal.
to.
so
We were
easy
supposed
talking
to,
about-
and then
Yeah,
everyone had something to
oops.
do all at once.
Yeah, we were supposed
Oops.
we were supposed to start at 5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you for everyone for watching. This is
Had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, this was
Same.
episode 1 of the briefing room with 13th MU podcast hosted by your command staff. Please come out to the next one. We will set up a scheduled date either a week or 2 weeks from now, and we will have the new XO on there. Hopefully, Mr. Second Lieutenant Soccer. But see y'all at the op tonight.
And final parting words: Rock Hill Eat Babies.
Rock Hill.
Rockhill
Eat
eBay.
All right.
Is the live feed cut off now?